You're
Oh
so
my
beautiful.
God.
I love you.
The morning was cold. Very cold. The kind of cold that hurts your face when you breathe, the kind of cold that kills things. Marcus had been working on ranches for 32 years. He knew cold like he knew his own hands. He knew what cold could do to animals. He knew that on mornings like this, animals died, not quickly, not painlessly, but slowly, their bodies getting colder and colder until they just stopped working. It was 5:47 in the morning when Marcus started his walk across the ranch. He had done this same walk 1,000 times, maybe 10,000 times. Every morning, same time, same route. He walked from the barn to the south pasture to check on the animals, to make sure everything was okay, to make sure nothing had died in the night. But this morning was different. Marcus was not thinking about anything special. He was not expecting to find anything unusual. His mind was just thinking about coffee, about breakfast, about how cold his hands were even inside his gloves. These were the simple thoughts of an old man doing his job on a cold morning. That is when he saw it. At first he was not sure what he was looking at. There was something under the cottonwood tree, something that did not belong there, something that looked wrong. Marcus stopped walking. He stood very still, and then he started walking faster. The closer he got, the more his heart started beating faster. The closer he got, the more he understood that something terrible had happened. It was a foal, a baby horse. She could not have been more than a few days old. She was very small, too thin, and she was lying on the ground like she was already dead. Marcus ran. He ran even though his old body did not like to run. He got to the foal and fell to his knees in the dirt. For a moment, he could not breathe. For a moment, he could not think. He could only look at what was in front of him. The foal was barely alive. Marcus could see her ribs pushing against her skin like they wanted to break through. He could see every bone in her body. She weighed almost nothing. Her coat was dirty and muddy. Her legs were marked with deep red lines where something had been tied around them. Rope. Someone had tied rope around her legs so she could not move. But the worst part was not the rope. The worst part was not the thin body. The worst part was the eyes. The foal's eyes were open, but they were empty. They were the eyes of a creature that had given up. They were the eyes of something that knew it was dying and had stopped fighting. "Oh no," Marcus whispered. "Oh no, no, no." He reached out his hand slowly and touched the foal's neck. He was checking for a pulse. He was checking to see if she was already dead. But she was not dead. She was still breathing. Just barely. Small, shallow breaths. Breaths that could stop at any moment. The morning air was freezing cold. The foal's body was ice cold. Marcus knew what this meant. She had been out here all night. Maybe longer. She had been lying in the cold, unable to move because of the rope on her legs, and her body temperature had dropped and dropped until she was almost gone. Marcus looked around. The ranch was still quiet. The sun had not come up yet. No one else was awake. No one else knew that this baby horse was dying under the cottonwood tree. He looked back at the foal, and something broke open inside his chest. This was not an accident. This was not a mistake. Someone had done this on purpose. Someone had left this foal here to die. Someone had looked at this small, innocent creature and decided it was not worth keeping alive. "Why would someone do this?" Marcus asked out loud. "Why would anyone do this?" The foal did not answer. The foal just lay there in the dirt, barely breathing, barely alive. Marcus made a decision right then. A decision that would change everything. He looked at the foal and said out loud, "You are going to live. I do not care what someone else wanted. I do not care what someone else decided. You are going to live." He carefully lifted the foal in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He could hold her like she was made of paper. As he lifted her, he felt her body temperature. She was so cold. So very cold. "It is okay," he whispered to the foal. "I have got you now. I have got you." The distance from the cottonwood tree to the barn was about 200 yards. 200 yards is not far, but carrying a freezing, dying foal in his arms, It felt like 1,000 yards. It felt like 1,000,000 yards. Marcus walked carefully. He did not want to hurt her. He did not want to drop her. He wanted to get her warm. He wanted to get her alive. His boots crunched on the frozen ground. His breath came out in white clouds. His old heart was beating very fast. And all the time, he was carrying this tiny foal who had no hope. This tiny foal who someone else had thrown away like garbage. When he reached the barn, Marcus gently placed the foal on clean straw. His hands were shaking. He was shaking from cold and from emotion and from the weight of what he had just found. "I am going to save you," he said to the foal. "I do not know how yet, but I am going to save you. I promise you that." He looked into the foal's empty eyes, and he saw something. Just a tiny flicker. Just a small sign that maybe, somewhere deep inside, the foal was still fighting. Was still holding on to life by the smallest thread. Marcus worked quickly. He grabbed blankets. He set up heat lamps. He brought water and medicine and anything he thought might help. He worked with the hands of someone who had worked with animals his whole life. He worked with the knowledge of someone who knew what dying animals needed. But he also worked with something else. He worked with love. He worked with the fierce determination of someone who had just decided that this small life was worth fighting for, worth everything, worth any effort. As he worked, Marcus thought about who could have done this. Who could have left a baby horse to die on a freezing morning? Who could have tied rope around her legs so she cold not move? Who could have looked at this innocent creature and decided she should be dead? And more importantly, what was he going to do about it? But those questions could wait. Right now, there was only one thing that mattered. Right now, Marcus needed to keep this foal alive. Right now, Marcus needed to prove that mercy was stronger than cruelty, that love was stronger than abandonment, that one person's decision to care could change a life. As the sun slowly rose over the ranch, Marcus sat in the barn stall with the foal. He wrapped her in blankets. He gave her warm water to drink. He talked to her in a soft voice and told her that she was safe now, that someone cared about her, that she was going to live. The foal did not respond. Her eyes remained empty and far away. But Marcus kept talking. Marcus kept hoping. Marcus kept believing that somehow, against all odds, this tiny foal would survive. Because if she did not survive, then the person who had left her here would win. And Marcus was not going to let that happen. Not today. Not ever.
Marcus did not leave Hope alone. Not even for 5 minutes. Not on the first day. Not on the second day. Not on the third day. He sat in the barn stall with the tiny foal, and he watched her breathe. That was all he could do. Just watch her breathe and hope that she would keep breathing. The barn was warm because Marcus had brought heat lamps and blankets. He had worked on ranches for 32 years, and he had learned many things in that time. One important thing was this. If an animal was too cold, it would die. The body would just stop working. Hope's body temperature was very low when he found her. It was dangerous low. So Marcus worked to warm her up slowly, carefully, like he was handling the most precious thing in the world. Because to him, she was. By noon on that first day, Hope's temperature had gone up by 1 degree. 1 degree. To most people, that would seem like nothing. But Marcus knew better. 1 degree meant Hope might live another few hours. 1 degree meant the foal was fighting. 1 degree meant there was still a chance. Hope did not look like she wanted to fight. Her eyes were empty and far away. When Marcus tried to give her water with special salts mixed in it, she barely drank. When he brought her soft food, she did not eat. She just lay on the straw, wrapped in blankets, barely moving. Marcus could see every rib bone on her small body. He could count them if he wanted to. He did not want to. The foal's legs had deep marks where the rope had been tied around them. The marks were red and angry. Some places were starting to get infected. Marcus cleaned the wounds carefully with warm water and medicine. He talked to Hope while he did this. "You are going to be okay," he said to her. "I know it hurts. I know you were scared. But you're going to be okay. I promise you that." Hope did not respond. Her eyes did not move. But Marcus kept talking anyway. He told her about other horses he had helped. He told her about sunny days and green grass. He told her that the world was not all pain and cold and abandonment. He told her that some people were good. Some people would help. By the afternoon of the first day, Marcus heard footsteps on the barn floor. He knew who it was before the man appeared. The walk was heavy. The footsteps were quick and angry. It was Randy Holbrook, the ranch manager. Randy stopped when he saw Marcus sitting next to Hope. His face got very dark. "What are you doing?" Randy asked. Marcus did not turn around. His hand was on Hope's neck. "Found her this morning, under the cottonwood tree. Someone left her there to die. Who? I do not know for sure, but I know someone did not want her alive." Randy walked closer. He looked at Hope. He looked at the infected marks on her legs. He looked at her ribs showing through her skin. Then he looked at Marcus, and something in his face changed. "Okay," Randy said quietly. "Okay, do what you need to do. Keep her alive." And then he left. Marcus did not understand what that meant, but he knew it meant something important. The first night was the longest night of Marcus's life. He stayed awake the whole time. He had brought a blanket for himself, and he sat next to Hope in the stall. Every hour, he checked her temperature. Every hour, it was slightly higher than before. By 3 in the morning, it had gone up 3 more degrees. It was still very low, but it was going in the right direction. At midnight, Marcus heard a sound that made his heart stop. A sound from Hope. A small sound. A whimper. It was the first sound she had made since he found her. Just a tiny whimper, but it meant she was still in there. Somewhere inside that broken little body, Hope was still fighting. She was still alive inside. Marcus leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Yes. Fight. Keep fighting. You can do this." He brought her more water. This time, she drank it. Not much, but some. And when she drank, Marcus felt tears come to his eyes. This tiny action, this small drink of water, it was a sign. It was a sign that Hope had not given up. It was a sign that she wanted to live. The second day came. Hope stood up for the first time. She stood up for maybe 1 minute, and then she fell. But she had stood. Marcus helped her to her feet again, supported her weight, helping her stay up. They stood together in the stall, the old cowboy and the baby horse, and Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. "You are so brave," he told Hope. So brave. By the third day, Hope was eating small amounts of food. By the fourth day, she was standing for longer periods. By the fifth day, she was walking slowly around the stall. It was like watching someone come back from the dead. And in a way, that is what was happening. Marcus was watching Hope come back to life. But there were still bad moments. On the 6th day, an infection got worse on Hope's back leg. The infection made the leg hot and swollen. Marcus was scared. He had seen animals die from infections like this. He cleaned the wound every few hours. He put medicine on it. He talked to it like he could convince it to go away. "You're not allowed to hurt her anymore," he said to the infection. "She has suffered enough. You're not taking her from me. Do you understand? Not on my watch." The infection slowly got better. It took a week, but it started to heal. Every day during this time, Marcus's heart was heavy and light at the same time. Heavy because Hope had suffered so much. Heavy because he did not know if she would survive. But light because she was fighting. Light because every day she got stronger. Light because it became clear that this little foal was not going to give up. Marcus started to understand something important. Hope did not survive because Marcus saved her. Hope survived because Hope wanted to live. Marcus just gave her a reason to want to live. Marcus just showed her that there was someone who believed she was worth saving. 1 week after finding her, Hope was standing in the stall and looking out the window at the ranch. Marcus saw her looking out, and he understood. Hope was ready to see the world again. Hope was ready to know that there was more to life than pain. Marcus opened the stall door and let Hope outside slowly. The sun was bright. The air was fresh and clean. Hope had never seen the world as a healthy foal. She had spent her whole life, short as it was, either in pain or in danger or on the edge of death. But now, walking next to Marcus in the warm sunshine, Hope was beginning to understand something new. The world could be beautiful. Marcus held the rope attached to Hope's neck, and they walked together across the ranch. Hope's legs were still weak. She moved slowly, but she moved, and with every step, she was leaving behind the girl she had been. The girl who was dying. The girl who was abandoned. The girl who wanted to give up. And she was becoming someone new. Someone who wanted to live. Someone who believed in tomorrow. Marcus looked at the little foal, and his eyes filled with tears again. But this time they were different tears. These were tears of hope. These were tears of joy. "Welcome back to life, little girl," he whispered. "Welcome back." And Hope, hearing the love in his voice, moved a little closer to him and rested her head against his chest. Marcus was giving Hope water on the 14th day when he heard the two ranch workers talking outside the barn. They did not know he could hear them. They did not know that the old cowboy with the sick foal had ears that still worked very well. "Did you hear what happened?" one worker said to the other. "No." "What?" replied the second worker. "That foal, the one Marcus found. She was supposed to be gone. Daniels ordered Holbrook to get rid of her. Said he could not afford to feed her anymore. Said she was just a waste of money." Marcus stopped moving. His hand froze on Hope's neck. "So who left her there?" the second worker asked. "Does not matter now. Holbrook said to leave it alone. Said Marcus found her, and she is his problem now. But Daniels is mad, really mad. He is saying Marcus stole his horse, that he had the right to do what he wanted with her." The workers walked away, talking about other ranch things. But Marcus was not really hearing them anymore. He was thinking about what he had just learned. David Daniels, his neighbor, a man who owned the big ranch on the other side of the river. Marcus knew Daniels. He was a hard man, a man who did business in hard ways, a man who sometimes came to this ranch to argue with Randy about money and debts and arrangements that were never quite right. Daniels had wanted Hope dead. Daniels had ordered it. And when Daniels ordered something, people usually did it. Marcus looked down at Hope. She was drinking water slowly, her mouth moving carefully, still weak but getting stronger every day. He thought about how close this foal had come to never existing at all. He thought about how Daniels had made a decision one day, a casual decision, that would have meant Hope's death. And somehow Marcus had stopped it. By accident, by chance, by being there at the right moment. 2 days later, Marcus was walking back from the feed supply when he saw a truck driving up to the barn. The truck was big and black and expensive looking. Marcus knew that truck. He had seen it before on this ranch. It belonged to David Daniels. Daniels got out of the truck. He was a big man with thick arms and a red face. He was angry. Marcus could see it in the way he was walking. He could see it in the way his hands were closed into fists. "Where's my horse?" Daniels shouted when he saw Marcus. Marcus did not stop walking. He kept moving toward the barn. "In the barn," he said simply. Daniels followed him. "I want her. She belongs to me. I want her now." Marcus stopped and turned around to face the big man. "No," he said. "She does not belong to you anymore." Daniels' face turned even redder. "I own that horse. I paid for her. I have the right to do whatever I want with her. And I wanted her dead. I ordered her dead. So you better give her to me, or there will be problems." Marcus was not a young man anymore. He was 58 years old. His body was tired from years of hard work. But he was not afraid of David Daniels. He had faced harder things than an angry rich man. "That foal was abandoned to die," Marcus said quietly. "She was left in the cold with rope tied around her legs. She was starving. She was sick. In my book, that means you lost your right to own her. That means she is not yours anymore." Daniel stepped closer. His hands were still closed into fists. For a moment, Marcus thought the man might try to hit him. And if he did, Marcus would not fight back. Marcus was too old for fighting, but he would not move. He would stand there and take it, because that is what you did when you were protecting something you loved. But Daniels did not hit him. Instead, he yelled, "You think you were a hero? You think you saved something? That foal should never have been born. She is a waste, a problem, and now you are a thief. I'm going to make sure everyone knows that you stole from me. I'm going to ruin you, old man." Then Daniels turned and walked back to his truck. But before he left, he pointed at Marcus and said, "Give me the horse, or I will take her by force." And then he drove away, leaving a cloud of dust behind the truck. Marcus stood there for a long time, just looking at where the truck had been. His heart was beating fast. He was afraid, not of Daniels, but for Hope. What if Daniels came back? What if he brought other people? What if he tried to take Hope in the middle of the night? Marcus went to find Randy Holbrook. He found him in the office, working on papers. "Daniels was just here," Marcus said. "He is angry about Hope. He says he is going to take her back." Randy looked up from his papers. His face was very serious. "Marcus, listen to me," Randy said. "Daniels made a decision about that foal. He ordered her killed. That decision is done. He cannot change his mind now because it did not work the way he wanted. That is not how life works. He says he's going to come back. He says he's going to take her by force. Randy nodded slowly. If he tries that, there will be consequences. I'm going to make sure everyone on this ranch knows that Hope is under protection. If anyone tries to harm her or take her, there will be trouble. Real trouble. Over the next few days, word about Hope spread through the ranch community. People started to talk about what had happened. They talked about Daniel's ordering the foal's death. They talked about Marcus finding her and saving her. They talked about the man who refused to give up on a creature that everyone else wanted dead. And something amazing happened. People started to help. A woman who worked in the ranch office brought supplies for Hope. A veterinarian came to check on the foal and refused to take payment. A feed store owner offered to give Marcus free food for Hope. Even a local sheriff came by and asked questions about what had happened, and he told Marcus that if Daniel tried anything, there would be legal consequences. The community had taken Marcus's side, and they had taken Hope's side. One afternoon, a young girl came to the barn with her father. The girl was maybe 10 years old, with dark hair and curious eyes. Her father worked at the ranch, and he had told her about Hope. "Can I see the foal?" the girl asked Marcus. Marcus was careful. He did not know how Hope would react to strangers, but something in his heart told him that this moment was important. He gave the girl some treat pellets and showed her how to hold her hand flat so Hope could eat from her palm. At first, Hope was nervous, but then she took a step forward. She took the treat from the girl's hand, and the girl's face filled with joy. "She is beautiful," the girl whispered. "Yes," Marcus said. "She is very beautiful." That night, Marcus lay in the barn near Hope and thought about everything that had happened. He thought about Daniel's and his anger and his desire to destroy. He thought about the community and their kindness and their support. He thought about how one person's cruelty had been answered by many people's love. Hope was going to live. It was clear now. She was strong enough. She was healing. She was going to survive. But more than that, Hope's story was already changing the world around her. It was showing people that there was another choice. That mercy was possible, even when it was hard. That one person could stand up and say no to cruelty. And that when one person did that, other people would stand beside them. Marcus reached over and touched Hope's face. The foal turned and looked at him with eyes that were much clearer now than they had been just 2 weeks before. "We did it," Marcus whispered. "We made it through the hard part." And Hope, as if she understood, rested her head against his hand. 2 months had passed since Marcus found Hope under the cottonwood tree. The little foal was not little anymore. She was growing. Her ribs were no longer showing through her skin. Her legs were strong, and the scars where the rope had been tied around her were almost invisible now. But the most important thing was not how her body had healed. The most important thing was how her heart had healed. Hope was learning that humans could be kind. She was learning that people could love her. She was learning that the world was not all pain and cold and abandonment. Every afternoon after school, Sarah came to the barn. Sarah was the girl who had given Hope her first treat from her hand. She was 10 years old, and she had made a decision. She was going to spend time with Hope every single day until Hope understood that she was safe. Hope," Sarah said when she arrived at the barn on a warm afternoon. "I brought you something special today." Hope's ears turned toward the girl's voice. The foal recognized Sarah. She knew her footsteps. She knew her voice. And when Sarah entered the stall, Hope walked over to her. This was new. 3 months ago, Hope would not let anyone near her except Marcus. 3 months ago, she was too scared, too hurt, too broken. But Sarah had been patient. Every day, Sarah came and sat in the stall with Hope. She did not try to force the foal to do anything. She just sat there and talked. She told Hope about her day. She told Hope about her friends and her school. She told Hope about her dreams. And slowly, Hope began to trust her. "Look what I have," Sarah said, holding out her hand. In her palm were special apple treats, the kind that horses loved. Hope stepped closer. She sniffed the girl's hand. Then she took a treat. As she chewed, Sarah reached out and touched her neck. Hope did not move away. Hope did not run. Hope just stood there and let the girl touch her. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "You are so brave," Sarah whispered. "Do you know that? You are the bravest girl I have ever met." Every day, Sarah and Hope spent more time together. Sarah would bring treats. Sarah would brush Hope's coat with a soft brush. Sarah would walk Hope around the ranch, teaching her that the world was not scary. Sarah would sit with Hope in the stall and just be quiet, and that quiet was a kind of love that did not need words. One afternoon, something important happened. Sarah was sitting with Hope when the foal put her head in the girl's lap. Just put her head there, like she was saying, "You are safe. You are my person. I trust you with my whole heart." Sarah could not stop crying. Good tears. Happy tears. Her mother came to pick her up that day and found her daughter sitting in the barn stall with a horse's head resting on her lap and tears running down her face. "What is wrong?" her mother asked, worried. "Nothing is wrong," Sarah said. "Everything is right. Everything is perfect. Hope trusts me, Mama." She actually trusts me. Sarah's mother understood. She sat down in the stall too, and soon she was crying with her daughter, because they both understood something important. They understood that they were watching a miracle. They were watching a broken creature learn to love again. They were watching a foal who had almost died learn that life could be beautiful. Marcus watched all of this from a distance. He did not interfere. He knew that Hope needed more than just Marcus. Hope needed to learn that there were many good people in the world. Hope needed to know that Sarah cared about her, that Sarah's mother cared about her, that the whole community cared about her. Other people started to come to the barn too. Some came because they had heard the story about how Marcus saved Hope. Some came because their children wanted to see the famous foal that everyone was talking about. Some came just because they wanted to feel the hope that Hope represented. One man came who had not planned to come. It was the veterinarian who had treated Hope's infections. He stood outside the stall and watched Sarah with Hope, and he cried. He cried because he had been ready to tell Marcus that Hope was not going to make it. He had been ready to give up. But Marcus had not given up. And now, 3 months later, here was Hope. Healthy, strong, loved. "I have never seen anything like this," the veterinarian said to Marcus. "Most foals in her condition do not survive. But she has something special. She has a will to live that I do not usually see." Marcus nodded. "She has something else too," he said. "She has people who love her. She has a reason to live." One day, the local newspaper came to the ranch. They wanted to write a story about Hope and how Marcus had saved her. They wanted to take pictures. They wanted to interview everyone. Marcus did not want to be famous. He did not care about being in newspaper, but he knew that the story needed to be told. He knew that people needed to understand that one person could make a difference. That mercy was possible. That love was stronger than cruelty. So he agreed to the interview. The reporter asked him, "Why did you save Hope? Why did you not just let her die?" Marcus thought about this question for a long time before he answered. "Because she was alive," he said finally. "She was small, and she was broken, and she was suffering. But she was alive, and that means she deserved a chance. That is all I did. I gave her a chance. She is the one who chose to live. She is the one who chose to fight. I just helped her along the way." The newspaper article came out on a Saturday morning. It was on the front page of the local section. It told the whole story about how Hope was abandoned, about how Marcus found her and saved her, about how David Daniels had ordered her death, about how the community came together to protect her. After the article came out, something amazing happened. People brought supplies for Hope. Someone brought special feed. Someone brought blankets. Someone brought medicine. A local business donated money to help with her medical care. People who had never met Marcus or Hope before wanted to help because they understood what Hope represented. Hope represented hope itself. She represented the power of one person's decision to care. She represented what could happen when someone chose mercy instead of cruelty. That night, Marcus sat in the barn with Hope and Sarah's mother. It was a quiet evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Hope was grazing peacefully. Sarah was sitting on the fence, looking happy. Sarah's mother was standing next to Marcus, and she was smiling. "Thank you," Sarah's mother said to Marcus. "Thank you for saving this foal. Thank you for showing my daughter what courage looks like. Thank you for showing her that one person can make a difference in the world." Marcus did not know what to say. He just nodded. He looked at Hope, and he looked at Sarah, and he understood something that was bigger than words. He understood that saving Hope's life was not really about saving Hope's life. Saving Hope's life was about something much bigger. It was about showing a community that mercy was possible. It was about showing a young girl that she could be brave. It was about showing the world that love was stronger than cruelty. Hope was no longer the broken foal who was dying under a cottonwood tree. Hope was now a symbol of hope, a symbol of love, a symbol of what could happen when good people decided to care. And as Marcus watched Sarah walk to Hope and rest her head against the foal's neck, he knew that this moment would change them all forever. He knew that Sarah would grow up remembering this time. He knew that she would grow up being kind to all creatures because she had learned to love one special foal. And he knew that Hope would never forget what it felt like to be saved, to be loved, to be chosen. Hope would never run away from humans again, because now she knew that some humans loved her. And that made all the difference. 1 year. Exactly 1 year had passed since Marcus found Hope under the cottonwood tree on that cold morning in March. Now, it was March again, and everything was different. Hope was no longer a baby. She was a young horse now, strong and beautiful and full of life. Her legs were long and powerful. Her coat was shiny and healthy. The scars where the rope had been tied were almost completely gone. If you did not know her story, you would never know that this foal had almost died. You would never know that someone had tried to destroy her. But Marcus knew, and Sarah knew, and the whole community knew. On the 1-year anniversary, Marcus decided to do something special. He took Hope out to the south pasture, to the place where he had found her. He stood there in the morning sunshine with the foal beside him, and he remembered that terrible day. He remembered how close Hope had come to never existing at all. Sarah came running to find them. She was 14 years old now, taller and more confident than she had been a year ago. She had spent every single day with Hope. She had watched the foal grow from a dying creature into a symbol of hope and love and survival. "Marcus! Marcus!" Sarah called out. "Come quick. My mother wants to tell you something important." Marcus and Sarah walked back to the barn, and there was Sarah's mother with something in her hands. It was a photograph. A beautiful photograph of Marcus and Sarah and Hope together, taken by a professional photographer. In the photograph, Marcus had his hand on Hope's neck. Sarah was leaning against Hope's shoulder, and Hope was looking at the camera with eyes that were full of peace and happiness. "This is for you," Sarah's mother said. "We are going to put in a frame. We are going to remember this day forever." But that was not all. Sarah's mother had more news. "I talked to the school," she said. "They want to make a program about Hope. They want to teach all the children in our town about what happened to her. They want to teach the children about being kind to animals. They want to teach them that one person can make a difference. And they want you to come talk to the children. Marcus, they want to hear your story." Marcus could not believe what he was hearing. His story? He was just an old cowboy who had done what he thought was right. He was not special. He was not a hero. But the community saw him differently now. The community saw him as someone who had shown them something important. Later that day, the local newspaper came to the ranch again. But this time, they were not just writing a story about Hope. They were writing a story about Marcus, about his decision to care, about how one person's love could change an entire community. But something else had happened too. Something that Marcus did not know about yet. Randy Holbrook, the ranch manager who had retired, had written a will. In that will, he had left something to Marcus. Land. About 50 acres of land at the edge of the ranch property. And he had left money too. Money to build something. Randy had written a letter to go with the will. The letter explained why he was doing this. "Marcus," the letter said, "you taught me something important. You taught me that mercy is not weakness. You taught me that one person's decision to care can change everything. I want to honor that. I want to create a place where animals that have been hurt or abandoned can come to heal, just like Hope healed. I want this to be your legacy. Please build a sanctuary. Please help other animals the way you help Hope." When Marcus read this letter, he sat down in the barn and cried. Big tears, happy tears, grateful tears. He had not asked for anything. He had only done what he thought was right. But the world had responded by giving him something he had never even dreamed about. A sanctuary, a place where hurt animals could heal. By the end of the year, Marcus had started building. With money from Randy's will, with help from the community, with donations from people who had heard Hope's story, Marcus began to build a place of healing. The sanctuary would have pastures for horses that had been abused or abandoned. It would have barns with comfortable stalls. It would have space for other animals too. Animals that needed help. Animals that had nowhere else to go. Hope would be the first resident of the sanctuary, and she would help other animals learn what she had learned. She would help them understand that humans could be kind, that life could be beautiful, that there was hope even after despair. Sarah had decided something too. She had decided what she wanted to be when she grew up. She wanted to be a veterinarian. She wanted to spend her life helping animals. She wanted to work at Marcus's sanctuary and help heal hurt creatures, just like Marcus had healed Hope. "I'm going to do this because of you," Sarah told Hope one afternoon. "Because of what you taught me. You taught me that love is stronger than cruelty. You taught me that one person can make a difference. When I grow up, I'm going to spend my whole life helping animals like you." David Daniels had left the area. He had sold his ranch at a very low price and moved away. He could not stand being in a place where everyone knew what he had tried to do. He could not stand being remembered as the man who had tried to destroy an innocent foal. But his leaving was not a sad thing. It was justice. It was the natural result of choosing cruelty instead of mercy. It was proof that the community had decided to stand up and say no to people like him. On the anniversary day, Marcus sat on the fence of the south pasture at sunset. The sky was orange and pink and beautiful. Hope stood beside him, her head resting against his shoulder. Sarah sat on the fence next to them, and everything was quiet and peaceful and right. "Do you know what I'm thinking about?" Marcus asked Sarah. "What?" Sarah said, "I'm thinking about how different this could have been. If I had slept 5 minutes longer that morning, I would not have found her. If I had taken a different route to the feed supply, I would not have found her. If I had decided that it was not my business, I would not have helped her. Hope would be gone, and the sanctuary would not exist, and you would not have learned to be brave." Sarah nodded. "And I'm thinking about something," she said. "I'm thinking about all the animals that are going to be saved because you saved Hope. I am thinking about all the children who are going to learn to be kind because they learn Hope's story. I am thinking about how many lives are going to be different because of one decision you made on one cold morning." Marcus reached down and touched Hope's face. The foal turned and looked at him with eyes that were full of love and trust and peace. "You saved me too," Marcus whispered to Hope. "You saved me more than I saved you. You showed me that one person's love can change the world." As the sun went down and the ranch turned golden in the fading light, Marcus understood something that was bigger than words. He understood that Hope's story was not really about a foal surviving. Hope's story was about love. It was about mercy. It was about what could happen when good people decided to care. Hope had been abandoned, but she had been found. She had been dying, but she had been saved. She had been broken, but she had been healed. And in the healing, everything around her had been healed too. Marcus had found purpose. Sarah had found courage. The community had found hope. And the world had become a little bit better because one old cowboy had decided that a small life was worth saving. The foal that was supposed to die had lived, and she had changed everything. Hope stood in the fading sunlight, strong and beautiful and free. She had learned that humans could love her. She had learned that the world could be kind. She had learned that after the darkest night, there was always a sunrise. And she had taught everyone around her the same thing. Hope was home now, not just in the barn or the pasture, but in the hearts of everyone who knew her story. She was home in Marcus's heart. She was home in Sarah's heart. She was home in the community's heart, and she would stay there forever. A symbol of love, a symbol of hope, a symbol of what one person could do when they decided that mercy was worth fighting for. The year of saving Hope was over, but Hope's story was just beginning, and it would go on, touching hearts, inspiring people, creating change in a world that needed more mercy and more love and more hope. One foal, one cowboy, one decision. That was all it took to change everything.